All right, here's our review for the final exam for algebraic reasoning for the second semester. Number one, if you're given a function f of x that has an inverse of f inverse x, which of the following statements is true? Okay, so remember, inverse is when you switch x and y. Okay, let's go. When you switch x and y. Okay, so if you're starting off with x comma y, right, which all of these say if x, y, then when you switch them, you're going to have y comma x. Oh my gosh, let me get a new pen. Hopefully this one works better. So it'll be y comma x. Okay, so the answer for this one would be letter D. xy turns into yx. Cool. Now, given f of x equals 2x plus 7, which in the following represents the inverse. So remember, for the inverse, okay, we're going to rewrite this with a y equals. So y equals 2x plus 7. Our second step is we switch x and y. Okay, so again, f of x becomes a y, switch x and y, and then your next step is to solve for y. If I'm solving for this y, then I'm going to need to get rid of the loner 7. So to get rid of the plus 7, we do minus 7. Sevens cancel out, and I got x plus 7 equals 2y. And then to get rid of that 2, I divide by 2, and I get that fraction. Okay, so I can make it one big old fraction. Last step is to rewrite it as f inverse x with a little f negative 1. All right. So I'm going to rewrite it. F inverse x equals x plus 7 over 2, which gives me this one. Okay. Similarly, here, if they're asking for the inverse, we're going to rewrite this as y equals x plus 1 squared minus 4. Switch x and y. X equals y plus 1 squared minus 4. And if I'm solving, next step, solve for y. First, I need to get rid of this outside loner. So the opposite of minus 4, I get plus 4. And remember, x plus 4 is literally x plus 4. Now, the next step, before I can get inside that parentheses, I need to get rid of that square. And the opposite of square is square root, right? So I'm going to square root this, square root all this. Cancels on the right. Now I have square root of x plus 4 equals y plus 1. And my last step is to get rid of that loner plus 1. I'm going to subtract 1. And that minus 1 is going to go after the square root sign. Okay, now I write my final answer as an inverse x. So I get square root of x plus 4, and then the minus 1 is after it. So square root of x plus 4 minus 1. And that's it. All right, the table below contains values, which of the following represents this table. So remember, so the inverse is when you flip the table. Which one of these answer choices flips the table? Okay. So if I were to flip it, f inverse x would be negative 0.25, negative 1, 0.5, 0.25, 0.2, negative 4, negative 1, 1, 2, 4, 5. Okay, now which one of these answer tables has this flipped version? All right, so the first answer choice, negative 1 is on there, 1 is on there, 2 0.5 is not on there. That's in the original one, so it can't be A. Negative 1 is actually not on there, so it can't be C. Negative 1 is on here. 0.25, that's on here. 0.52, that is on here. 1. Hey, that one's got everything. Letter D, negative 1. Nope, it's not on there. Can't be. So again, you're just making sure that everything's been flipped for a table. All right, we got a graph. So I'm using this graph right here, right, which the following represents inverse. Again, I'm going to flip points. So let's take these points. Negative 4, 3, negative 2, 1, 0, 5. Okay, so if you don't have points on here, you want to, make some points like this, and you want to flip it. Okay, so the inverse is going to have these points. 3, negative 4, 1, negative 2, 5, 0. So let's look for these points. Which one has 3, negative 4? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, 1, negative 2. Ooh, that's not it. 5, 0. Oh, my bad. Negative 3. That's what it should have been. Back up. Negative 3, negative 4. Nope. Negative 3, negative 4. Nope. Negative 3, negative 4. Yeah. 1, negative 2. Yeah. 5, 0. Yeah. Hey. You can tell this last one doesn't have it either. So remember, you gotta take these points, flip them, and those flipped points should be on the line. All right. Number 6. Inverse, once again, we're going to turn this into y equals x minus 4 cubed. Switch x and y. Now, the opposite of cubing something is cube rooting, okay, and vice versa. So to get rid of that cube, I'm going to do cube root. Cubed root. Cubed root. Okay, so the cube root cancels with the cube. So now I have cube root of x equals y minus 4. And then to get rid of that minus 4, we add 4 to both sides. Remember, this is going to go after the cube root. Let's write it as an inverse. I got cube root of just x, and then a plus 4 after it. I want you to notice that D is not the right answer, okay? The plus 4 is after, okay? So it can't be D, it's going to be letter A. Very important. You can't just add and put it under a square root. It has to have already been there before you square root or cube root. All right, once again, we're doing the inverse, so we're going to rewrite this as y equals 10 to the x plus 3. Switch x and y. X equals 10 to the y plus 3. All right, so now I want to solve for y. Before I even mess with this, I want to get rid of this plus 3, minus 3. And remember, x minus 3 is x minus 3. All right. Now, the rule is, okay, when I do a log, I'm going to write log, and then I have the base. Oh, sorry, this is a y up here. Log, and then the base of the exponent, here's the exponent, so the base is this. So log little base 10 of, and it's the other side of the equation, so x minus 3 equals, and then the exponent, y. So now I have it as y by itself, so I can rewrite this as an inverse. F inverse x equals log base 10 of x minus 3. Cool. So notice the difference between that and C, which has a minus 3 randomly after it. Okay. Number 8. Let's calculate this means inverse, so I'm going to change that to a y. Switch x and y again. Notice that minus 7 is up in the exponent. Okay. All right, first things first, I need to solve for y. Now, this minus 7 is not big. It's not out here as a coefficient, so you can't touch that. Okay. Right now, the y is in the exponent, so we're going to have to do the log. Log, and what's my base of the exponent? 10. Of, what does that equal on the other side? X. And that's going to equal the exponent, y minus 7. Cool. Now, your next step, to get y by itself, now you get rid of that minus 7 by adding 7, which is going to go after the square root sign. So I'll write it as an inverse. F inverse x equals log base 10 of x, and the plus 7 goes after it. So it's definitely not a, okay? The 7 was not already there before we did the log, okay? It was after. Number 9, find the inverse of the graph. So again, when you're doing the inverse, you want to flip it. So let's take these points, make a table. So this first point is 0, 1. Then I got 7, 0. I got 8, negative 1. And then I got 9, negative 2. The inverse function is going to be, let's see which one of these has these points. 1, 0. 1, 0, nope. 1, 0, nope. 1, 0, yes. 0, 7, yes. Negative 1, 8, yes. Negative 2, 9, hey. And then 1, 0, once again, no. So again, you just take the original points, flip them, and they should be on one of the graphs. All right. All right, number 10, identify the inverse of the table. Now, first thing you want to do is get the table. So I cannot actually pull up the calculator on here, unfortunately. So let me pull that up on my calculator. You fill this in, you get the original one is going to be 1, 8 to 98, 3, 998. Okay, so the inverse function, you got to flip it, okay? So when you flip it, I get 8, 98, 998, 1, 2, 3. So my best answer is going to be letter D. Okay, you got to flip that table. If you don't know the table, you got to get the table first, okay? All right, number 11. Yeah, don't do that. Let's move. Here we go. Let's move. Okay, cool. What is a horizontal asymptote? Okay. Now, this is already graphed here, so you don't have to graph it, but you can see that this graph is going up, 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 and then it flattens out. Okay. Where does it flatten out? Okay. We'll have a horizontal line going through the number 5. Okay. It's not here at -4 because it touches that. It's flattening out at +5, right? Now, this is where people get confused. You see 5, you know it's probably got to be A or C. What axis is that line going through? Horizontally, it goes through this point, which is on the y-axis. Y equals 5. Cool. Number 12. Now the formula, the quadratic formula, right? We got to know it, and I'll give it to you on your final. We have an equation equal to 0, so we know A, B, and C already. But let's remember that the formula for x equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Right? So we can just plug this stuff in. So first of all, what is a? What is b? What is c? A is the leading coefficient, it's a +2. B is that middle term, it's a +5. C is the last term, -7. Please don't forget the negatives. You will get these wrong. Okay, so x equals -b is the opposite of our b value. If b value is a +5, we're going to put -5 plus or minus the square root. Okay, b squared, so b is 5, so 5 squared, minus 4, a and c, 2 and -7. I like to put those in parentheses. Divided by 2a, 2 times a, which is 2. All right, so it starts with a -5 plus or minus square root of 5 squared minus 4, 2, -7. Hey, that's not a -7. The bottom does not have a -2 or 2 2's. D is the best answer there. Cool. 13, which of the following equations can I solve using the quadratic formula? Quadratic formula is x squared. Not higher than that. Okay, so third power is a no. Fourth power is a no. Fourth power is a no. It's got to be letter C. Quadratic has to be only x squared. Cool. All right, when we're factoring, we're going to take this number, 12, find all the factors of it. Always start with 1. 1 times 12 is 12. Since they're positive, they're both positive, so you can also make them both negative. Let's try the next. What about 2? 2 times 6 is -2, -6. 3 times 4, or -3, -4, and that is it. Okay, so which one of these multiply to make 12? And then now we're going to think which ones adds to make the +8. I think it's got to be 2 and 6. 2 plus 6 is 8, right? So you put them in 2 parentheses. So you got 2 x's, and you got a +2 and a +6. Answer would that be A? Okay, you can flip them around and it still works. Number 15, let's factor this thing. Same thing. It's going to multiply to make -18. -18. What multiplies to make -18? 1 times -18. And then switch the signs. -1 times 18. 2 times -9. -2 times 9. 3 times -6. -3 times 6. 4, 5, 6. That's it. So which one of these add up to make the middle term, -7? Right. All right. So looking at these, the one that adds up to make -7 is going to be 2 and -9. right? So we'll have two y values. We're going to have the positive 2 and negative 9. Add up to make negative 7, and they multiply to make negative 18. All right, so that's going to be letter B. You can switch the order. Now, when it says the word solve, and you see that it equals 0, you have to do a minus 6. A minus 6, a plus 11. So you're going to split this into two. You're going to have the first one, a minus 6, and it's going to equal 0. You're going to have the a plus 11 also equals 0. And then you got to solve these things once they equal 0. But they're easy one-steppers. To get rid of a minus 6, you add 6, and then 0 plus 6 is 6. To get rid of a plus 11, you subtract 11, and then you get negative. So you have positive 6, negative 11. The answer is going to be A. Now to solve this, you go into your calculator and you do menu 3, 3, 1. Okay. Unfortunately, I cannot show you on here, but you go to menu 331, and it's degree 3 because of that, right? So now I need to know A3, A2, A1, A0. A3 is in front of the third power. If there's no number here, it's a 1. A2 is 2. A1, negative 9. And A0, the constant, is negative 18. Okay, so I go to my calculator. I go to a new calculator. Press menu 331. Don't press enter because you need to go up, make the degree 3. I know you can't see my calculator, but you got to press menu 331, change it to degree 3, and then plug in A3 is 1, A2 is 2, A1 is negative 9, A0 is negative 18. You hit enter, enter, and one more enter, you get the answer of negative 3, negative 2, and positive 3. Bam. Okay. Now, you would do the same thing here, but this one equaled 0 up here, but this one does not equal 0, right? So let's go ahead and rewrite this. So x to the 4 plus 4x squared equals 8. If I want this to equal 0, I need to get rid of the plus 8, minus 8, minus 8, and that's going to go right there. Okay, so the 8 and the minus 8 are going to cancel out. I can get this to write an 8. Write an 8. Thank you. So here we go. X to the 4th plus 4x squared minus 8 equals 0. So now I can do menu 331. Okay, what's the degree? The highest degree I see is a 4, so degree 4. So now I got to figure out A4, A3, A2, A1, A0. Now this one's kind of tricky. A4, what's in front of the fourth power? Nothing is a 1. A3 is missing. Okay, so that's a 0. There is no third power. A2, second power is a 4 coefficient. A1, there is no x term. Okay, so it's a 0. A0 is negative 8. So it's like a 0x cubed here and a 0x here. Basically, they're missing. All right, so I go and I press menu 331. I make sure it's degree 4. Okay, A4 is 1, A3 is 0, A2 is 4, A1 is 0, A0 is negative 8. I hit enter, 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 and I get negative 1.21, and then 0.21. All right, my answer is C. Cool. All right. 19, this shows a blank, okay, and the equation for the asymptote is what? Now you can see that this is the line right here, right? Usually we see it as a dashed line. Now, first of all, that is up and down. That is vertical. So it can't be A, it can't be B. And then vertically, it's going through the number 2. That's cool. Now, is it X or Y? So up and down is going through this point on the X-axis. So if it's going through the X-axis, it's got to be X equals, and so it's X equals 2. All right. Let's try number 20. The vertical asymptotes in a rational function restrict. So up and down, cutting off as you go left to right, which is the domain. Okay, so vertical restricts the domain. Okay, horizontal asymptotes mess up the range, which is up and down. Cool. I wish this pen would write. It's right. Thank you. All right, so domain and range. Which the polygraph shows the function. All right, so remember, bottom is a lie, and it's left and right. Out here is not a lie, it's up and down. So this is really going to the right, because it's not minus, it's plus. Right 6, and then up 3. So the one that looks like it's going right 6, up, and 3, you can also graph and compare these from your calculator. But the one that does go right 6 and up 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. This one does seem to have the asymptotes going like this. And the answer would be letter D, okay? C only goes up 3. B only goes right 6. And then A goes right 3, up 6, which has got the numbers mixed up. Okay. Now, what's the equation for the vertical asymptote? So the vertical asymptote has to do with which way it's shifting left and right, which is right here. Just remember, it's a lie. So that's a lie. So that means it's negative 3. And remember, if it's vertical, it's going through the x-axis. X equals negative 3. And if you know the vertical asymptote, we're going to use that down here to find the domain. It's basically just not equal to it. So x cannot be negative 3. So it's basically all real numbers, just x cannot be negative 3. Cool. And then last two, again, horizontal is going from left to right, so we're gonna use the vertical shift that's moving it up or down the horizontal line. And remember, horizontal lines go through the y-axis, they're y equals, and it is negative 2, as I see here. So y equals negative 2, that's good. And then again, use that down here. It can be anywhere except it cannot equal that negative 2. It can go down forever, up forever, but it's not going to touch that horizontal line at negative 2. So anywhere except y equals negative 2. That's your review. Make sure you do it, have it, and get to the final exam.